What's going on? I have a 1500 point Deathwatch list with 18 command points. This list is not intended to be a 1500 point list, although it is. But I'm just giving you a good idea of what your army might, or what you might want to make an army look like for 2000 points with the Deathwatch Codex, focusing only on Primaris Marines and only going out of that one time for 1 HQ, and of course you could tweak it from there. So, first up, we have a battalion, captain, 3 units of 5 intercessors. Second up, we have a battalion, watchmaster, captain, 3 units of 5 intercessors. And third up, librarian, chaplain, 3 units of 5 intercessors. And that'll be 1500 points exactly. I would give all 3 captains a power sword at least. So maybe not one if he's going to stay in the back, but anyway, that brings you to 1512. And then you have 488 points to spend however you see fit, which could be 14 plasma gun hellblasters mixed throughout your units. Pretty strong. I believe it would be a pretty good idea to include a unit of 5 or 2 units of 5 intercessors with the stalker bolt rifles, giving them AP 2, and they could be like your devastators per se, standing in the back and just providing fire support. And these units you could also hide heavy plasma gun hellblasters. Now, the reason nobody plays the heavies, I guess, is because they're a little more expensive. But they're always strength 8, and they're strength 9 when they overcharge. With this list, you have 4 characters letting you reroll ones to hit. So one of those characters can very easily be in the back next to your 2 intercessor units with stalker bolt rifles and upgraded heavy plasma gun hellblasters. When they overcharge, they're strength 9, AP 4, 2 damage. So these hellblasters are going to hit on 3s, rerolling 1s. They're going to wound on 3s, rerolling 1s against the target you choose in the beginning. Troops, heavy, whatever. I would base your first turn tactics on what these guys are going to target, and because you have the Watchmaster, you can change that turn 2, turn 3. But first turn, if you have like 10 of these, 2 5-man intercessor squads with 5 heavy plasma hellblasters each, so 2 10-man squads, you're pushing like 300 points a squad there, so it is expensive. It will be a priority target for your opponent. But for 2 command points, you can give them +1 to wound. Now, them being strength 9 is where that +1 to wound is going to come into play. Because against a land raider with no invulnerable save, it'll save on 6s, and you'll wound it on 2s. Against the Leman Russ, it gets no save, and you're wounding it on 2s, rerolling 1s. Hit on 3s, rerolling 1s, wound on 2s, rerolling 1s with a couple command points. So that seems pretty powerful to work as like your Devastator squad. Not to mention the Stalker bolt rifles, your strength 4, AP 2. So they're in the same unit, so if you use the +1 to wound stratagem on them, they might be wounding on 5s or 6s normally, going down to 4s, 5s on the toughest things, but pretty much 4s probably. Against monsters, you use the ammo to wound on 2s. With those guys, the plasma guns maybe overcharge, maybe don't, depending on what you want to do. For 69 points, you can place a Apothecary around. I was kind of playing with the idea of fitting 2 Apothecaries and then basically just filling out a bunch of plasma guns and maybe some power swords and some units. And overcharging a lot of plasma guns with a lot of rerolls from all these captains and the Watchmaster, and trying to bring them back to life. I don't know if this is a good idea, but if you bring a heavy plasma gun guy back to life, he's like 36 points. He is 36 points. So if you do that twice throughout the 5 turns, you've actually paid for yourself and you got your heavy plasma guns back. So that's pretty cool. With this list as 3 captains and a watchmaster, I do think you could drop 1 captain and go watchmaster, 2 captains, but you still have to replace that captain with an HQ, so you have 3 battalions for your 18 command points. The chaplain is cheaper. The librarian is slightly more expensive. I can see some value in smite in this army. You have other ways to do some mortal wounds, but not really coming from the Primaris units. You would have to go into the other units. Another way you could spend your 488 leftover points, or 500 if you don't take power swords on the captains, is like 3 or 4 Razorbacks with twin las cannons. So this will give you 45 intercessors with pretty reliable, versatile damage dealing bolt weaponry. Decent in hand to hand because they all have 2 attacks apiece. Maybe you can squeeze in some power swords on some sergeants, and then some las cannons in the backfield from the Razorbacks. That would kind of break your Primaris theme, but it's not that big of a deal, just because, well, the repulsor is, I don't know, it seems kind of expensive. At least it can fly, though. The other land raiders can't fly. So let me know what you think. I do think, oh, here's another thing too. When I was originally thinking about it, the Deathwatch, I was a little annoyed that for 2 command points get +1 to wound for a unit, and Chaos get it for 1 command point for a unit +1 to wound. And then, just, I don't know why it didn't dawn on me the first time I read it, but it's broken up into like every category. So say you had 6 command points, you could spend 2 on the 5-man stalker 5 heavy plasma gun squad to get +1 to wound heavy support. They're going there. Then you spend 2 to maybe get +1 to wound on fast attack, and maybe they have like Vipers or Warwalkers or whatever, right? Bike units kind of thing. Instead of wounding on 3s, you're wounding on 2s, and maybe you have the book nearby that lets you pick unit types, and then you can choose between your chapter tactic and the book. Or the book. And then you have a unit up front that's just shooting some troops. Maybe you give them +1 to wound. Now, the reason the +1 to wound is so powerful in Chaos is because they use it on like a 40-man cultist unit shooting 80 shots, or a 16-man Rubik Marine unit, shooting 32 shots, or something along those lines. 5 intercessors shooting 5 shots, +1 to wound is, I don't know if it's worth 2 command points. So you might want to try and figure out how to pump your squad sizes up. Also, you could definitely put a grenade launcher in all the squads. I don't know the math on it, and I don't care. But 1 strength 6 -1 D3 damage shot is probably better, at least before you're rapid firing. So in the beginning, and it's only 1 point per squad. So it'd be a total of 15 points to take 15 grenade launchers. Also, you probably don't need to take it on the Stalker bolt rifle guys, because they already have AP2. So AP2 is pretty good. They can't benefit from the... They can benefit from the plus range ammunition, but the cap on that AP is 2. So you could give them the plus 6-inch range, but I think you're going to go with like the +1 to hit units in cover, and then that AP2 will kind of counterbalance their cover. Before I said in a previous video, your Warlord could be nowhere to hide, and that would allow you to remove cover anywhere on the battlefield, and you know, I think that's pretty good. I don't even think there was line of sight. I think there was just, he just picks a unit anywhere on the battlefield. But we're gonna double check that. I also think you're starting with 18 command points. That's more than you've probably ever started with for any army you've ever played. So I don't think you need Lord of Hidden Knowledge and getting them back on 5+. 18's a lot. It's definitely fine. I've played a lot of games with 7 and no way to regenerate them, and I, you know, did fine. So it's, yeah, command points are good. No, because on the internet everybody thinks you have to regenerate them. You don't, right? So there are some bad ones. I would definitely, you know, that one's not a bad one. It is a good one. But this one I kind of like the idea of. So at the start of each of your shooting phases, pick one enemy unit anywhere on the battlefield. For the duration of the phase, that unit does not receive the benefit of cover against attacks made by Deathwatch units within 6 of your Warlord. So, unfortunately, if your Warlord is the Watchmaster, you probably don't want him to be standing in the back with the Stalker bolt rifles and the plasma guns. But he could be walking forward, and it'd be a good way to dig out scouts and things from cover. Dark Reapers, potentially, you know, they're like a 3-up or a 2-up save in cover. And you already have AP, you're going to get extra AP from your ammunition. And I don't really think you're going to need more than 18 command points. Usually by the time you go through all that, the game's kind of decided. So I don't think the extra 2 or 3 or 4... I mean, with 18, you're going to get, what, 3 or 4 back? Depending. Cool, but I don't know. If you're going to go bigger squads, maybe 2 battalions, and you're going to be starting with 13, even then, that's a lot. Like, so, and a lot of the stratagems don't necessarily apply to the Primaris Marines. Some of them you need like a heavy bolter or a missile launcher, which they don't get access to yet. So it's interesting. If you're doing a Primaris Deathwatch army, you can ignore a lot of the stratagems, or break your Primaris only rule, if you have that rule, and add in a squad of just regular veterans with 4 missile launchers, or 3 missile launchers and a heavy bolter, or 2 and 2, or whatever. And they could be next. So maybe 1 squad of intercessors with stalker bolt rifles and heavy plasma guns, and then a little veteran squad with some heavy weapons as your like little devastators in the back. I think it's cool having all these characters running around. I would, if I had the model, I'd probably want to take the guy with the power fist and plasma pistol. I wouldn't want, I wish he could not take the plasma pistol, but because Primaris Marines are so new, they are so limited, and like the characters have to take like exactly what comes in their little like box that doesn't come with a lot of bits at all. Eventually, I believe 100% Primaris Marines will just replace all Marines and be Marines at that point. But I don't think that's coming in 8th edition anytime, maybe 9th, but I don't know. 8.5, 9th, we'll see. But like I was saying in the other video, the Primaris Marines are going to be the first to get love. So after they're caught up, after they got all the books, and after, you know, they're going to be working on those Sisters of Battle everybody pretended they wanted, because toughness 3 power armor, woo, so cool. The Primaris Marines are going to be the first to get that random new unit of whatever, right? It's going to be that new flyer that transports Primaris Marines. It's going to be that new fast attack slot, you know, land speeder type vehicle that is a Primaris one, right? I don't see them bringing out, I don't see them bringing out a new Death Company type for Blood Angels. Like, I don't see them bringing out a new kind of Terminator for Dark Angels. You know, like, to me, those things are probably going to remain the same. They're going to be supported for a long time, but phased out eventually over time. The Primaris Terminator, I could see it. Like, they already figured out how to make really tough guys with the Custodes book, so I could see the Primaris Terminator. So anyway, a really big thing about this army is you can get it really cheap. Like, just go on eBay and buy a whole bunch of the Dark Imperium Primaris Intercessors, and you're pretty much good to go. It's got 45 Intercessors and some characters. Unfortunately, the characters are all expensive, but that's okay. You don't have to max out the 3 battalions at 1,500. You could do 2 and just full squads. I think that would be pretty interesting. Is 10-man intercessor squads coming in at 200 points a pop. 2 grenade launchers and a power sword for an extra 6 points at 206. That could be cool, because then when you use that stratagem and +1 to wound, you actually have some bullets flying and not these little 5-man squads that maybe aren't going to benefit from that stratagem. I do think the special ammunition will carry him a long way. The reason I keep gravitating my mind towards the heavy plasma gun, which I do know is considered the worst one. Well, I think the heavy one and the assault one are considered bad, and just the rapid fire one is considered the best. But that strength 9, so you're basically wounding everything in the game on 3s except for nonsense from Forge World that adults don't play with. I said it. The wounding on 3s becoming 2s, and you're already rerolling 1s potentially just from the book. And actually, I just realized the plasma guns will not be rerolling 1s because they're not special issue ammunition. So, this is a real-time blooper. You'll still be wounding on 2s though. So, yeah, you won't reroll 1s, but you'll still be wounding on 2s. So, you know, 5 or 6 of them, good chance you're putting at least 6 or, yeah, you got 5 guys, you're probably putting like 6 wounds through on a, you know, that's half a Lander, or half a Lehman Russ. So that's pretty cool. I do wonder if the army's going to struggle taking down vehicles, especially toughness 8 vehicles, without the plasma weaponry. Like I said before, with that list, you could fit 14 plasma guns in throughout your units. You have 15 units, so, or sorry, you have 9 units of 5. So all of them could get 1, and then the other extra points you could just buy like an Apothecary or upgrade some grenade launchers or whatever. I still think it's kind of a trap to try and like put a flying guy in there to retreat and shoot. You're paying points for the special issue ammunition in your bolt pistol. Might as well use it if you're stuck in combat. And you're not bad. You're pretty much above average in combat than most, you know, besides combat units. And even then, you're still 2 wounds, strength 4, hitting on 3s. Probably re-rolling 1s. And you got some kind of beater characters, so that's not a bad deal. 3 attacks from the Primaris Sergeant in the units. But you line up, you put all your infantry out there, and the Eyegard guy has 3 Basilisks and 3 Lehman Russes and a Stormlord and a bunch of Scions with plasma guns in space. You know, I don't know. Can you kill the tanks fast enough? Because fishing for 5s or whatever, fishing for 6s, because your gun's still strength 4. So actually you'd be fishing for 6s, and rerolling 1s. That's not the way to do it. So you'd have to probably play test it. I would consider play testing it with 2 battalions and filling out everything you want. This would give you 10, 13 command points. That's still a lot. You know, and then try it also with the 3. And at that point, you are running a horde. With 2, you have more room for maybe, you know, some las cannon razorbacks or some regular Deathwatch veterans. Like I said, I would be avoiding the regular veterans just because I'm not interested in them, right? I'm just interested in if like a Primaris army could work. So it's pretty cool. The dreadnoughts, you can deep strike them for command points. That's kind of cool. They could be your vehicle smashers. You could probably fit in a pretty decent amount of, probably, if you can fit 14 Hellblasters, I'm going to guess you could fit around 20 Reavers if you wanted to go that route, just to tie up things while your army walks across the board. So it'd be interesting, fun to play around with. Definitely pick up the Deathwatch Codex if you're trying to make a Primaris Space Marine army and you're not interested in the Plasma Castle tactic or the Guilliman Castle tactic. I think this is a new option for you that could be, you know, pretty cool. I've seen some Blood Angels use the Intercessors, but they don't really go that far in on them because they need a lot of points for Sanguinary Guard or need a lot of points for Death Company. Another thing you could do, do 2 battalions, 15. So it's 1,500 points for 3 exactly without power swords. So let's just say it's around 1,000 points for 2. Then put 500 points or so. No, let's say you put 300 more points into those 2 battalions, and then you take 700 points of Imperial Guard or something like that. Like a heavy. I mean, you could just take like a Bane Blade, right, for like 500 some points, or a Knight, an Imperial Knight. You know, something. Because if you're just running, well, if you're running all 5-man units of Intercessors, they're cool, but they, I think, are going to struggle with high toughness targets that are vehicles, because wounding on a 2 against anything but a vehicle is only good against anything but a vehicle. So if people are in like rhinos and stuff, so maybe, you know, that's where your grenade launchers come in. You could even skip the Hellblaster and just go with like 5 more squads or whatever if you wanted. So it'd be interesting to play test for you. I'm not gonna. I might pick up some, but I don't know. Right now, I am actually just for fun painting up a Sons of Medusa Marine, because I got this 30-year anniversary Marine when I went to Adepticon. And I think we might eBay him off, and I'll let you all know if I do. I'm trying to paint him to like a high level and practice like glazing on him. But that's it. Deathwatch, 18 command points, 45 intercessors, 90 wounds of Space Marine goodness, special ammunition. Maybe they have grenade launchers. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Just some thoughts. Try and squeeze it in. It's about 205 points for a dreadnought, so you could put 2 in this list. And we knocked over the phone. So we're going to call it right there. Let me know what you think of the Deathwatch Codex. Watch the reviews. Definitely join the post with the giveaway so you can win Abaddon.